show this evening, talking about some of the big rugby stories from the weekend. And Fraser, Katie on good form. That was some win for Narberth, wasn't it?
Yes, he was. The rain didn't dampen his enthusiasm, did it? But no, I think they are well set now. Narberth. I think Katie summed it up pretty well there.
Yeah, absolutely right. And as I said, pembrokeshiresport.co.uk has some great action pictures and match reports from the weekend. But let's talk to our guest on tonight's show. I think we spoke to Ben Llewellin a couple of years ago on Pure West Sport, and we're really pleased to welcome him back because he has had a great start to 2024, which is an Olympic year, of course, with the Paris Olympics to come in August. Ben, evening to you. How are you?
Hello. Yes, very good. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, listen, welcome back to Pure West Sport. It's really good to have you with us. And it is a big year, isn't it, for loads of sporting hopefuls who are wanting to make it to Paris. And you've had a great start.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously, with the Olympics only come in every 4 years, I think it's quite an exciting time for, like you say, young hopefuls and some seasoned professionals as well. And yeah, like myself, I'm sort of hoping to get to the Olympics now in July. We've got a few opportunities coming up over the next couple of months. So coming off the back of a good start to the year, having a silver medal in Cairo World Cup, which has certainly set the tone for the next few months.
Yeah, tell us about that. Let's start with that because, as you say, silver at the ISSF World Cup in Cairo. That was last month. How did that go for you, Ben? What was that experience like?
Yeah, it was really good, actually. The first competition of the year is always a little bit of a feeler. You head into the competition. You come off the back of a winter's training. Obviously, this winter has been particularly bad in the UK, so it has made things quite difficult for us to train. So heading into the first World Cup of the year, it's always a little bit of a tester to see sort of where you're at and really what you need to work on over the next couple of months leading into the important ones moving forward. But for me, I sort of hit the ground running and managed to come away with a silver medal at the first World Cup of the year, which is a great motivator and has certainly given me plenty of enthusiasm to go forward into these first couple of qualifying events for this year's Olympics.
Yeah, is the selection process clear from you here from now on in, Ben? Do you know what's ahead of you and what you have to do to get in?
Yeah, so I've got a clear plan, really, of my qualifying coming up. I've got a World Cup in Qatar, which is in April, and a European Championships in May. They've both got quota places on. So basically, I have to qualify in the highest position of somebody that doesn't have a quota. So if I finish second and somebody in front of me has already won one, then the quota will be given to myself.
Right. Okay.
So hopefully going into those few competitions, I will finish in a good position and win a quota. But if that doesn't quite work out, then the highest shooter in the world, highest ranked shooter in the world, that doesn't have a place will be given a wild card, basically.
Right. It's actually, looking up, I can believe it's 3 years since you last on the show, but hopefully then you were building up towards qualification for the Olympics for Tokyo, and unfortunately it didn't quite happen. I say 3 years, of course, because of COVID. One of the advantages for athletes who did miss out last time around, you haven't had to wait 4 years, of course.
Yeah.
3. But if you don't mind me asking, perhaps the pain or disappointment of missing out on Tokyo, how did you respond to that? And has that proved a big driver for you to now go and get to Paris?
Oh, definitely. Yes. I mean, the disappointment coming off the back of missing Tokyo was massive. And I think that was sort of a decision time for me. I made a few, I sort of had a little think about which route I wanted to go. And I decided to change a few things in my setup. So I changed a few manufacturers with the gun and cartridges. And that sort of gave me a new motivation now, having a fresh start with a new gun. So that was sort of given me a blank canvas almost to head into this qualifying period. But then obviously having the disappointment of missing the last one has given me huge motivation to work twice as hard heading into this one.
And last one from me, I bring the other two again then, but I'm quite intrigued actually to someone who's maybe a little bit ignorant about the conditions of where you shoot. So you've talked about competing in Egypt, and you've got the World Cup in Qatar coming up, which is going to be an important event for your course. Now this obviously won't be so much of a problem in Paris, perhaps, but we've heard so much, haven't we, about other sports, especially before the Football World Cup, about competing in places like Qatar and the temperatures and conditions and how it affects on the players. Is that something that affects you guys when you're competing as well? Is it a factor?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the start of this year hasn't actually been a problem, because when we went to Egypt and I was in Morocco last week, the conditions were really, really bad. So it was just like home.
It couldn't have been worse than here, mate.
Yeah. It was actually really bad. It was no different to training here in winter. But heading into Qatar now in April will certainly be a big difference. We do try and get out occasionally to better climates just to prepare ourselves a little bit better for the conditions that we're going to expect heading into these warmer countries. But yeah, I think on the flip side, training in the really bad conditions in the UK in the winter, then when you head out to these nice sunny climates with very little wind, you're almost really well prepared.
Right.
And sometimes it can make it a lot easier, because you've been preparing in all this wind and rain, and then you get out there and it's sunny and still, and everything seems a little bit easy.
I want to talk a bit about the Olympics in Paris themselves in just a sec, but it's always good in an Olympic year. I think I watch it all, and I think Fraser and Tom are the same as well. I absolutely love it. So tell us about your particular disciplines. So for people who've never heard of skeet before, Ben, how does it work, and what should we be looking out for?
So skeet is one of two shotgun disciplines in the Olympics. There's trap and skeet. Skeet is basically you have two clay traps opposite each other on a range. They're about 25 feet apart, and they're firing clays almost towards each other across the range. And then you have a semicircle of stations going from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, and you shoot I think there's 8 stations, and you shoot a sequence of singles and doubles across those 8 stations, which totals 25 targets.
Wow.
You shoot 5 rounds in a competition, so that's 125 targets, and it's the top 6 qualifiers from that 125 then proceed into a final. And then a little bit about the sort of speed and reaction times. The clays are traveling about 57 to 60 mile an hour, and you've got to hold the gun down by your hip, and you've between calling for the target, seeing it, and getting onto it and pulling the trigger, it's about 0.5, 0.6 of a second. So your reaction times is very quick.
I've often thought watching it that the mental side to it must be quite challenging as much as anything else, about the physical side too. So in terms of training, do you have to train yourself, train your concentration, train your focus? What do you do to work on that type of thing?
Yeah, concentration, focus is a massive part of our sport, because we're a skills based sport. Once you learn the skill and you've sort of honed your skill, then the last 5-10% is all down to your mental capacity and how you can control the pressures and keep your focus and stay in control of the situation. So a lot of our training is based on getting our skill up to a level where we can basically go out and not miss. And then the last sort of 5%, 10% is just experience. getting out to competitions, getting as many competitions underneath your belt as possible. And then you'll have experience of those environments, and you can learn how your body works, how your mind works, and basically control all the elements that go on in competing.
I'm really interested in the mental side of it and how you train yourself. How do you build on your concentration and your focus? Maybe don't want to give too many secrets away. I understand, but are there techniques and tools that you can do to practice that, Ben?
Yeah, I think, well, there's lots out there. I think it's a bit of a minefield at times, but for me, I try and reduce down the size of the event into segments. So, like I said, we shoot 5 rounds of 25 targets in qualification, but I try and segment that down as small as I can. So I'll be shooting 5 targets, 10 targets, and then I'll put them in the bank. And then I'll move on to the next 5 or 10 targets, and then I'll put them in the bank. So I'm not really focusing on the 125 targets. I'm focusing on, right, let's shoot the next 5 targets, and then the next 5 targets, and then all of a sudden you've got to the end of your 125 competition. So that's my sort of way of dealing with it. Is I just reduce the size of the task in hand, and then it's not quite a big burden then on the capacity.
I take Fraser and Tom. I think there's things everyone can take from that in all of the sport and in everyday life. I think really like just making things more manageable. Fraser, I think about running. You know, I do similar, but when I've done the marathon, I break it into small sections. It is interesting, that side of it, isn't it?
Certainly. Yeah, no, fascinating insight that. And I want to follow on from that actually, Ben. How do you think the exposure levels are in your sport? Because I don't think it's a sport that's promoted as well as it could be. That's fair to say. How did you get into it? And if there were youngsters in Pembrokeshire, not just Pembrokeshire, beyond as well, listening to this and are interested and would like to go, what avenues can they go down?
Yeah, well, exactly. This sport is it hasn't got a platform really to promote itself, and I think, well, only talking from experience, when I first had a taste of the sport, it was something that instantly resonated with me, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I really want to pursue this. But like you say, I was fortunate enough to have a family that was in the sporting area, and my brother was already in the clay shooting scene. So he was able to sort of channel me along, and I was able to follow him in what he was doing. But certainly for people who wanted to get involved, it would probably be along the lines of the WCTSA, which is the Welsh Clay Target Shooting Association, and Sport Wales. Sport Wales have a target shooting section, and they have been a massive help to me when I first started, because the Sport Wales side are obviously the Olympic feeder organisation, so they were a huge help for me.
Ben, what would it mean finally to make it to Paris? Because it's an Olympics that's closer to home to start with. I think the atmosphere in that city is just going to be unbelievable. So how excited are you at the prospect? And does that really give you that focus and that desire to make it? And with that good start you've had to the year, how are you feeling about what could come later on this year?
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for the year. Like I said, coming off the back of the early success and the prospect of doing well in the next few competitions, I'm really looking forward. And obviously being so close to home, hopefully the family can come and watch. So yeah, I think that'll certainly give me plenty of motivation heading into this next qualifying period to really knuckle down, focus on the task in hand, and fingers crossed come away with the all-important quota place to get me to Paris.
Is it, getting ahead of myself, is it a venue, Paris, that you've competed in before, Ben, or will it be purpose-built for the Olympics?
I have not competed there, but I have had a training camp there.
Right.
Yes, yeah. So I've had a little feeler.
It's the Châteauroux Shooting Centre, isn't it? They're going to be
That's
doing
right.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, good stuff. Well, listen, Ben, good luck. So World Cup in Qatar in April, Euros in May, and then you think maybe around June time we'll know whether you'll be off to Paris as well on the back of how those two go?
Yes, fingers crossed.
Good stuff. Well, and listen, congratulations on that great start, because that silver out in Cairo must have meant a lot to you as well. You haven't got your medal to show us, have you?
Not to hand.
Oh, okay. Next time. Yeah. We always like to see it. We like to see some bling on the show.
Yeah.
But listen, you're a great ambassador for your sport, and you're doing a great job. So we wish you lots of luck over the next few months, and you are welcome back on Pure West Sport anytime. Let's not leave it a couple of years this time. I think we'll be talking to you again before August, no doubt. Thank you, Ben. Thank you for being with us. We will just take a moment and we'll come back for the final part of tonight's Pure West Sport this Monday evening. That's next.
If you're looking for some high-flying fun, Hangar 5 has got it all with their